comments on delinquent accounts, council?
Was that last one certified on property taxes? I know that it was just purchased or is in the process.
Yes.
Anything else on delinquent accounts? Moving on, alumni weekend. Good morning, Dave.
Alrighty, I'm filling in for Nikki. She's off on the island, so we're in warm weather. I think she said, as I understand it, everything is exactly the same as last year set up. She can get all copies here.
Thank you.
And I think the only other thing she said that we normally do is ask if you guys would consider waiving the fee for the fire department liquor license for that weekend. They will be doing the beer garden that evening, like they have the last couple of years.
We do typically do that on the city's fire department share
Okay.
in earnings.
So I don't know if you have any questions, I can try to answer them. But I think it's all pretty much just laid out here the same as last year as far as where the barricades will be and where the taco stands would need to be. I think the only difference that's kind of up in the air is where we're going to put the band, and it will either be the same place as last year or the trailer blocking the street like we did the first 2 years. So it would be where the barricade,
Nothing crazy out of the ordinary.
Nothing crazy out of the ordinary.
So is this the 4th year?
Yes.
Wow,
Time flies.
time flies. And it seems to be getting bigger every year.
It's been good.
Yeah.
It's been real good. Sounds like we've been raising a lot more money and been good for the alumni.
Yeah, I think it has been.
It's good.
Jess, do you have any concerns with their requests?
No, I do not.
I would move that the city allow the request for the high school alumni weekend.
I second that.
Any more discussion, council, on alumni weekend?
Do we want to add in the waiver for the fee?
Yes.
Sorry about that. With the waiver for the city's part.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed to the alumni weekend? Great, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you on behalf of the committee.
Thank you. County Commission, Alexis Pflugh.
Hi, thank you, council members, for having me this evening. I'm just here to speak on behalf of the commission, and what we were wondering is if you still are working with Mr. John Grace and what your plans are with that contract that you have. If you could fill us in, I'd like to take back to the commission what you have on the table presently.
I think there's anything on the
There's
table.
nothing on the table, and nothing's happened.
Okay, and what is the deadline for?
It was open-ended, but it never got addressed, never got off the ground with him. We've not heard any more from him.
So he hasn't really been in contact?
Letters flowed back and forth. We never saw hide nor hair of him or heard from him, and it could likely be reactivated if there was any interest in it on his part, but we haven't heard that, so there's nothing to report.
I think the city's ate some money on this.
Oh,
deal, haven't we?
yes. City had the expenses of putting the contract together, and it never bore fruit. Period.
Okay. And I'm sorry, I didn't reread it since I haven't read it freshly before coming, but I was under the assumption that he had a certain time period to quote unquote break ground in order
yeah,
to.
there were time
Has
periods
that expired?
included in the, oh, sure.
It's expired.
Oh,
Okay.
every time period that was in there has expired.
Okay. We kind of wanted to follow up on that before we proceed with any further plans with the nursing home.
Well, you understand, that's not on the agenda for the city tonight to talk about the contract, so they won't be. It's just that I'm giving you an overview of where it stands.
So do I need to come back to get verification on the specifics of the contract, or basically what I'm trying to relay to the
I
board?
think that's what we need to hear. Why are you here?
I'm relaying to the board that if the city intends on proceeding with Mr. Grace, we, as the county commission, are probably going to withdraw from any interaction with Mr. Grace regarding the transition of the nursing home. It would not behoove the county to invest in that facility, knowing that the city may very well be backing with heavy-duty bonds a project to continue into the future with Mr. Grace that would eventually become competition for the current facility.
I would say there's nothing on the table, period.
No, but that's not a likely scenario.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome.
Anything else, Alexis?
No, sir.
Thank you. Moving on, cereal malt beverage ordinance 723.
This is the one you've been waiting on because you knew early on that April was the earliest that this could be made possible. So what you have in front of you is the ordinance that was provided to the cities by the League of Municipalities. It's been tweaked a little bit to fit our situation. It replaces the cereal malt series of sections that has been in play and follows it. Of course, that ordinance was the League assisted with, so it follows pretty much what you have, only with the only exception being that cereal malt beverage will now be have an alcohol content not to exceed 6%. And those that have cereal malt beverage licenses now will slide under this ordinance when it's, after it's passed and published, with the only change being they now can legally exceed the 3.2% that they had to have previously. So. And we're doing something a little different here. We've not done this before, but as you can see, the ordinance is quite long. And we can do a summary of the ordinance, which I have prepared also that you have, which will take the place of publishing the entire ordinance, although Heather and her crew will have the opportunity to provide copies to anyone that inquires. And also they can go online and get it. I believe that's right, isn't it?
Yes.
I'll put it on the website, but I can't put it on the website until after it's
No.
in the paper. But I can provide a copy to anybody that requests it at any time.
number 723.
Second.
Any more discussion on the cereal malt beverage ordinance, council? Yes?
Is that just opening it up in the city of Lincoln for Sundays? Or I haven't followed some of that prior, just some discussion.
Go ahead.
That ordinance been passed for Sunday sales, and the
Okay.
only one that requested that was Lincoln Grocery.
Okay.
This is a state law change. Alcohol distributors are no longer making C&B, so it's a state, all cities are having to redo their ordinances.
Oh, so you're just updating
To-
that according
yeah,
to what the
we-
state has done.
we
You
have
did pass
to.
the Sunday one?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And that's been blended into that. The Sunday sales was passed earlier, and it's compatible with this.
Thank you.
Any more discussion, council? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed to the ordinance 723? Moving on, pool. Advertise for pool manager and lifeguard. Guards. Sorry, excuse me.
Lisa requested this be put on the agenda with the time frame for applications being as soon as we can get it in the Lincoln Sentinel. She also requested it to be advertised on our website and Live Lincoln County, with the deadline being April 5th, as she couldn't be here tonight.
Have we ever in the past, excuse me, have we ever in the past forwarded these job opportunities to the school? Would they,
Yes.
to see if they're
The
willing to
schools had it.
disseminate? Okay.
It's probably a good place to,
That we
especially
send
if
that.
there's summer help.
Actually, the school has notification when they advertise for training, the training.
Okay.
So the school's had it for probably 5 weeks now.
All right. I just wanted to be
And
sure.
we've already received 4 applications.
Okay. Good. I would move that we advertise for pool manager and lifeguard in all the appropriate advertising mediums as determined by the city clerk.
For 4/5/19, date-wise.
Yeah, to be for the applications to be received for before 5/1 of 19 or
4
4 or 5.
4/5 of 19. Okay.
And that's not just Lincoln School, we also send it to Sylvan as well.
Good.
Second.
Any more discussion, council, on pool manager and lifeguards applications? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, moving on. Rec board commissions. Appointment 1. There's one appointment, and I would like to reappoint Laura Keever for another term. I think it's a 4-year term, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's been on the board, and I think she's done a good job. So, I would entertain a motion for her to assume her position.
I'll move that we recommend the mayor's recommendation. Approve the mayor's recommendation.
I second it.
Any more discussion, council? Laura Keever? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'll abstain.
Chicken.
I told her I was going to vote no.
We better do one or the other.
Moving on, mower bids. have? How many bids do we have?
Tonight.
So what goes together here? These go with this one?
That's together in each pack.
Okay. These are with this, I take it?
Yeah,
Okay.
in case somebody wants to. I didn't do the math on it. It just came in.
Okay, first bid. I guess, I don't know if you want to make copies and send it around, because this has got all different kinds of, I don't know what we're comparing. There's a lot
The
more.
gentleman's here, you could ask him.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see, it didn't say Lincoln Building Supply on the top.
There's 3 different models there with a 72-inch deck.
Okay.
That's what I asked
Was for a 72-inch. I didn't know exactly what we're even.
30 horse at least, 72-inch deck, side discharge, air cooled, 1 front mount, 1 mid mount is what we're trying to replace.
Okay. So we're
And
trying
there
to
was 4
different ones.
There were 4 trade-in mowers that were.
So we're wanting trade-in on them. Okay.
If possible,
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll explain that one.
Yeah. Please.
Okay, if you're wanting a 30 horse, you throw the first one out because it's a 27 horse.
Okay.
So then you move to the model Super Z, which has a 35 horse. You can either get a Kohler or a Kawasaki engine. The Super Z has larger wheel motors and more horsepower, heavier deck than the top one, which you're not taking anyhow. And the Super Z Hyperdrive has a bigger yet engine, bigger wheel motors, 3,000 hour warranty on the pumps and the wheel motors. And it's a Vanguard engine, which is made by Briggs & Stratton.
Okay.
And fuel injected instead of carbureted. But you can get the fuel injected motor in the Super Z instead of a carbureted engine, which some people now don't know how to run a choke. You know, to choke an engine to start it. So a lot of times the fuel injection is easier for the younger generation.
So rear discharge is out, Jess. We don't want rear discharge, right?
That's correct.
I'm just trying to eliminate some of the stuff that I can.
On the fuel injected that's available in the Super Z, would that be that Vanguard also?
No, you can get it in the Kohler or the Kawasaki fuel injected. The
Okay.
Hyperdrive only offers the Vanguard engine. And the Hyperdrive will go 16 mile an hour down the road, and the Super Z goes 14 mile an hour. But those two both have the same deck.
Frame-wise, are they the same?
Pretty much the
Basically,
same on the
wheel-
frame. You're just getting more horsepower and heavier pumps and wheel motors going to the Hyperdrive.
And longer warranty.
And a longer warranty.
Yeah, why don't you?
The Super Z has a 5-year, 500-hour warranty on the pumps and wheel motors.
How quickly do you put hours on them? Typically. I'm guessing you're gonna eclipse 500 hours way less than 5 years.
Well, the one is a 2003 and it's got 2,500 hours.
Oh, okay.
2003. Well, it's not as bad as I figured.
16, 25, so you're only doing about 150 hours a year.
The other one that's
just like those 72 deck was a 2006 was $2,200.
Okay, so that one's had
A little more hours.
a little more, closer to 200, 180.
These are the side discharge, and Hustler doesn't provide a flip up in this 72-inch deck. They have them.
Oh, like the ones that you can.
Yeah, you can get them in the smaller decks, but not in the 72 inch. And this is cash prices, no trade.
No trade. That was going to be another question.
So none of these are front mounts and
Correct.
Okay.
This is the side discharge.
Might be 6. Do we have any diesel mowers now, Jess, or not? I didn't. I seen that was another option. I'm surprised that ain't a lot more money than with the diesel. I mean, it's not that much more.
Yeah, ain't much more than a gas.
Yeah.
But since all your other ones are gas, better stick with the gas, or
Yeah.
somebody will have the wrong fuel in the wrong mower.
That's probably right.
Do you want to see other bid?
It's not very much more until you go to repair it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably a lot more.
Yeah.
Sorry. I didn't open them until now. So.
I think the other Hustler mower you got's a smaller unit.
Yeah.
Smaller and cheaper.
I guess the hometown. What's that one around here?
Is hometown the same as the all seasons?
Yeah,
They
they just
changed
sold
their
out.
Oh, okay. Jess, are you familiar enough with a grasshopper to know the difference between a 735 BT or a 729 BT?
I'm going to take a shot here. I think the 735 has a 993 cc, which is 30 horse somewhere in there.
35 horse. Okay, that's
the,
right.
The 729 is a little bit less. It's like an 896 or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. With Grasshopper, that 7 series is the chassis, and the 30 and the next two numbers are the horsepower. I remember that now. Curious what brand the engines those are.
And the 335 would be a mid-mount, and the 735 would be the front mount.
So what do you prefer, a front mount or mid mount?
I would like to have one of each,
Okay.
because that's what we have that we're got a lot of hours on. But I'd like to stay with one of each.
I got you. Does Hustler make a front mount?
In a smaller more,
Not in the bigger one.
not in a 72.
Okay.
It's called a Raptor flip up. They make it in a 54 and a 48.
Okay.
And they're 23 horse and they're $5,000 roughly. They're a lot smaller, not as heavy. They all have a nice suspension seat with armrests, cup holders.
So that's subtracting that, right? So that's 22, right? What is that, 22 something? I guess that is that taken off, right?
No, that comes off. Doesn't let me know. Total.
Total.
You had told me I could open them before that was enough.
What are your feelings about a John Deere mower, Jess?
I don't know. I've never ran one. I know the school uses them. I don't know. There's quite a bit of difference in the money and the price.
Those will probably have a Kawasaki, I would imagine. That's what they typically have. Yeah, they're allowing a lot more for trade. And that's one of the big things with Jericho there.
Yes, they are.
That's 22, right?
And then this one, without trade, and then 17,403. It's on.
Back of the first page.
So 22, that's after taking out trading.
No, that's without.
Go down further.
Oh, so 17. And that's the one of them. So that's not. Right? Isn't that for grounded and a grasshopper? Yeah.
One of each.
I must be trying to say on one or the other. So what's a grasshopper got on it for motor, Jess? I'm just trying to compare apples to apples with Hustler and
It's, brakes.
so the grasshoppers will have brakes.
I think I gotta go get the brochure. So I'm not messing up here.
The only reason why I'm asking is because like Super Z's or Hustler's got Kawasaki, which is a few $100s less than a Kohler.
No, it's a Vanguard.
So that'd be a Briggs, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Vanguard.
Yep.
Okay, so that's a Vanguard. 320. So Vanguard, Kohler's 327. So Vanguard. So I'm just trying to compare apples to apples. So if we got the Grasshopper's got a Vanguard. So if you're going to go with a Hustler and you get the same motor, it's more money than with the Kawasaki.
It's also the hyperdrive rather than the Super Z too.
Yeah, that's true.
One thing I like here is with Hometown Outdoor Power, if they can't fix it quickly, they'll provide a loaner. How important do you feel that is to you guys?
Anything that's a benefit, I mean, you actually lose on the big mowers, you like to have something.
I mean, has it happened, put you in a bind in the past, or have you, I mean, do we have enough equipment to get by if we...
You miss them big mowers if they go down.
Okay.
Yes, you do.
So that's I guess that's a...
What's parts availability at Lincoln Building Supply? I mean, if you broke down and you needed a part for
A couple days.
that's what I mean. I'm
If it
just
was that
asking.
bad, I'd bring mine in and you could use it.
Okay, I was just asking.
I have a Super Z with a rear discharge.
I guess the other question I have, since we're looking for a mid and a front mount, if we're going to split these bids up that these other guys have given, are they going to give us the same price for a front mount as if we... So, in other words, if we buy a Hustler from Lincoln Building Supply for the mid mount, and then we need to buy a front mount also,
Split it?
yeah, are these guys going to be willing to honor these same prices if we...
I can't answer that.
I guess that's a question mark that I have with the bid process here.
I'm a hometown shopper. I really want to be. My only problem is one problem I should say is that they're going to give us trade-in.
Right.
When we're gonna be sitting on these mowers, we're gonna have to sell them, we're gonna have to get rid of them, we're gonna have to, or they're gonna be sitting there doing nothing, I guess. I mean, that's just something to throw out on the table. That's the only thing
Maybe you could trade in your other ones wherever you're getting your front mount,
yeah, I mean, if we do that, that's fine.
if they'll honor it.
Right. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. I mean,
When you hire repairs done on this kind of equipment, where do you typically go?
Hometown, all seasons.
Have you ever done any repair work with Caricos?
No, we have with other things, but not with mowers.
Not with
no.
mowers.
No.
I've been doing whatever repair work the hustler needs, and we've only ever had to mess with one in warranty, and it had a little piece of rubber in the carburetor. Out of all of them that we've sold,
I disagree. I had some warranty work done on mine.
What?
Yeah. You didn't do it, I did it myself, but you got me the parts. No, I've been happy with it. I'm not arguing that at all. Well, they're all pretty comparable. My opinion is,
My biggest concern is if we decide to split up the order, are we going to get the quoted prices on the front mount? That's my biggest concern with buying a hustler from Tim and then having to go buy the grasshopper from one of these other two. Is that if we do that,
and the trade-in. I mean,
Well,
that
yeah.
way we can get rid of some.
well, and they may still honor their trade-in offer even if we're only buying one mower, but that's, they've figured their quote based on our
Because that's what I
specs.
asked. Each one of them out of the three, I asked who was on the front mount and mid mount. That's the reason why it was set up that way. I didn't ask them what would happen.
Right.
Never thought about it.
And I guess another thought here is, since Caricos is offered so much more in trade than Hometown, how urgent is this? Do we have to make a decision tonight, or can we wait till next month?
No, if you want time to look into this, we still got snow.
Because my
We
other
can make it a month.
My other thought here is that if we would contact Caricos and say we'd like a bid on a grasshopper mid-mount instead of the deer, and like Hometown did the 735 instead of the 729, and maybe get, I don't know if you have feelings on that, because I'm assuming the one's a bigger engine than the other.
I would want to stay with the bigger engine.
Yeah, so that's because Hometown's that's going to be a 6-horse bigger engine for, another $300, and that's another thing I would like to look into. I guess now that we've seen the bids, if you can go through them and because you're the guy going to be having to worry about maintaining them and fixing them and everything, if you want to sort through these and get back in contact with the different vendors and ask them to maybe quote a specific one, or ask them maybe if they can work on their trade numbers, or I don't know. I don't want to go with the cheapest price and then have you be in a situation where you're having problems keeping them running or anything like that. And if you've got an established relationship with All Seasons or Hometown and they've always given you good service, and I'd hate to go with Caricos over them if we were if we're picking somebody out of town, I don't want to necessarily just go with the best price for the sake of, because the long-term price may be more, you know. So,
You don't have any consideration, Tim, of any trade-in, do you? You don't want no part of
No.
that? Okay, I didn't know. I guess, what are we gonna do with the mowers? I guess we could put them on auction.
How about a shape of the 96 and 99? And I mean, other than just wear?
I guess I don't understand what
I'm wanting to know what kind of shape they're in. I mean, as far as the motor and stuff. Just trying to figure out, you know, if we get stuff with them.
the two bigger ones, I mean, they got a lot of hours. All of them got a lot of
A
hours.
lot of hours, right?
The two bigger ones are probably in better shape than the two small ones.
Do the old ones run?
Yes.
Well, heck, I'd give you more than $50 for them. I'd give you a lot more than $50 for those.
They all run.
I guess
They don't have a problem.
what I'm asking the council is if we're gonna table this, let's put Jess on.
yeah.
We want to know the exact
Right.
one model that we want, and if they will still honor that trade
If we buy just
if
one.
we buy just one.
Yes.
I mean, that way he's got one direction to go in, and not we come back with the same what we got here, which is fine. I'm just saying that.
Right.
So
Now,
we're fair to our hometown and fair to.
I think that's the right way to go, is to table a decision until next month and to
Yeah.
authorize the superintendent to.
So what am I looking for? You just want individual mowers now? Is that what we're changing?
I would say
I mean, what are we not happy with, or what are we changing? I'm not clear what I'm supposed to do here.
I would say if they're going to honor, if we're going to get a mid mount, right, and
And a front mount.
a front mount,
So we can't buy the front mount from Lincoln Building Supply.
right.
So if we were to choose to buy a Hustler mid mount, then the question is, if we choose Carico's or Hometown for a front mount, will they honor the same price? And if so, are they interested in trades if we're only buying one machine?
Okay.
And then beyond that, I guess my thinking would be that if you would prefer to have two grasshoppers rather than a grasshopper and a John Deere, if they say no, this is a package deal, you know, we're going to sell you two, or we don't want the or whatever. But I would say determine which exact models that you would like. If you like with that grasshopper front mount that we would be purchasing from either Carico's or Hometown, if you'd rather have the larger engine, then I would say ask Carico's for a quote on the one with the larger engine. Does that make sense?
Right, but I think I can probably answer your question. The crew will want grasshoppers,
Okay.
if that's what you're asking. If you're asking what the guys actually turn and do the nuts and bolts of things, that's what they like.
Okay.
I mean, I can answer that tonight, and then I can go and.
So Carico's gave us a quote on
A deer.
and a grasshopper.
Right.
So so Hometown, is it just grasshopper, right?
Correct. And they did the larger engine size than Carico's did also on the front mount. So the Carico's has a lot more attractive trade-in.
That's the only difference then, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how much difference are we talking there? That'd be
About
$2,500.
but we're versing deer and a grasshopper versus a grasshopper and a grasshopper.
I would say we need to, at bare minimum, if grasshopper's the way that we want to go, we should approach Carrico's and ask them to quote out the same mowers that Hometown's quoting. And then we've got a comparison if we're wanting to do business with Carrico's. But if we feel like the service department at Hometown is enough stronger, then I'm not opposed to saying that that's who we want to do business with. We know they offer loaner units. We know what their service capabilities have been in past years, and
Well, that's what would happen if something would happen tomorrow. It would go to Hometown. Well,
Right.
I mean, sure, Kirk was there, but once you've already got an established mechanic and you know that he's going to do the work, I probably wouldn't go to Kirk's. You know, unless it's warranty, yes, I would. But after that, it'd go to Hometown.
How's come the Hometown bid has 2 side discharge decks? Is one of them misprinted?
No, they should both be side discharge.
one's front mount, one's mid mount.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got one rear discharge, Tim, and I don't know today. They say they got more blades and power, but they don't do a very good job at the cemetery. It looks kind of like what the swap
It went
down.
eroded.
Yeah, it went eroded.
And it's not bad if you cut it when it's short, but
Right.
who can ever get it all done when it's short?
And they are, I mean, that mower we have is great for the RV park when you're mowing around vehicles or campers or at the pool. You don't have that grass going in the water into the pool area. They're dynamite for that. But otherwise, for a out in the open, we like the side discharge better.
Well, my question was, I saw these were both side discharge decks from Hometown, but one of them is a front-mounted side
Yes.
discharge.
And one's a mid.
And that's what we're wanting, right?
Yeah.
One mid deck, one front.
Yeah.
I got you.
And we got the 2 Hustlers, the smaller ones, and that's what we use at the cemetery. It's got the 48-inch deck.
Yeah, gets between the,
But there's something, them guys, I tell you, we're not mowing, they leave them setting and they go get on the grasshopper. And I don't know what it is, but that's how they do it. But them Hustlers are nice for the,
they need to get on a bigger one.
they need to get on a bigger one.
Especially
That's
when
probably
they're
so. I mean, I don't know. I just
Especially when they're headed back for their break.
Yeah,
'cause they'll
there you
go
go.
14 mile an hour.
get back to it quicker.
Yes, may I make a comment?
And you run John Deere, you know a lot about John
They're
Deere.
rough riding son of a gun.
Yeah, there's the man to ask
John
right
Deere.
there. He's been
Yeah,
on
he
them.
runs them.
I can't run them anymore. The back won't handle.
The Hustler makes a,
But they do a lot of mowing. They will mow. But if you let the grass get too big, they're gonna leave a little strip about that wide
Really?
if you push them too hard.
Yeah.
I don't know why. But they are, I got a brother out there, tried out John Deere's, and went back to grasshopper.
the Hustler has an option on the front fork.
That's enough for me to know.
They are rough riding. Well, ask Tim in the morning.
Axle.
Tim runs ours now, part-time, Hanson. Ask him. Mike, rather out Mike.
That's nice.
Well, Mike runs that big grasshopper. That's his mower.
Sounds like we made a decision to me. I
Are
don't
we-
know why we need to table it.
Are we open to the idea of auctioning these mowers instead of taking the trade? Because I know we could get more than $2,100 out of those 4 machines. And we also need
Again,
to
though,
get
will
rid of
that
the,
change the pricing?
well, I don't know.
I think that needs to be asked, and because we got some stuff that needs to go.
Exactly. We need to
Spring's
get it in
coming,
here
we need
anyway.
to get rid of it. It's
But
got
that-
to go.
That
We
made
got-
me
We're
wonder.
going to be
that
mowing
that-
around it this summer if we don't get rid of some of that stuff too. There's some equipment down there that needs to go bye-bye, so. I mean, I guess You think they want the trade? I mean,
Probably.
you think they do?
Those two big ones.
Well, it could be. Well, for that price, that's probably right.
I mean, yeah, they've got hours on them, but those are
They'll make
perfect
money
machines
on 'em.
for somebody with, 5 or 10 acres or something,
Yeah. So what do we do? Let them go for what they want them for, or do we?
Well, that's what looking at these, what made me, and maybe I'm looking at this wrong, but hometown don't give as much money as Carico, but Carico does, but yet the prices, if you look at the prices, how's hometown got their price down there to compatible?
Well, one of them
Are they
is
keeping
John
that
Deere.
price low and giving you a low turn? If you take that trade away, are they going to raise that price up then?
Their out the door prices are similar, but the trade in at Carico is a lot higher.
One thing we're gonna have to find out.
I mean, they want to sell mowers. I know that. So I mean, if I'm still of the mind we should take a little bit of time and talk to them. Maybe ask them. I'm not opposed to telling them, hey, Carico said they'd give us $4,600 trade for our 4 mowers. Will you match that? If not, will you honor the unit pricing you've given us if we decide to keep them? I'm certain we could do a lot better on the used ones if we auctioned them than what we're
Getting. But if that's going to increase their price,
if it will increase their price. But on the other hand, I mean, Carico's they're almost $300 less on the Grasshopper. Now it's a little smaller engine. But they're almost $300 less on their sell price on that front mount Grasshopper.
right? Right.
What was the other question you asked, Mr. Keyworth? You said the price changes if there's no trade-in, and there was another statement you made.
Right, or would they be willing to do better on their trade? And I'd flat out tell them that Carico's offered $4,600 and see how they would respond. I guess kind of the picture I'm getting is I feel like you've probably got a good working relationship with these folks. And I want you to be able to do business with who you want to do business with. You know what I mean?
My question is, if you ask them if they can do it better, is that something then I have to ask everybody if they can do a better price?
Well, I guess if we've decided that we want to buy 2 Grasshoppers, if that's the decision, then I guess we've narrowed down the brand of machine that we want. And so if we want the Grasshoppers, I guess the John Deere and the Hustler are off the table in my mind, but that's
kind of the opinion I've got from you. I mean, that our guys want Grasshoppers. And if they want Grasshoppers, then I'm with you.
once we know what exactly we
compare
want to
apples
buy,
to apples
exactly, then we
with Grasshoppers.
I mean, I don't think we told them that anybody that when they submitted the bid that it was necessarily going to be a final decision made based off of it. And if I was one of the people submitting the bid and there were questions, I'd want to be asked again. I mean,
Is this a bid or an auction?
Yeah.
Trying to save taxpayers' money.
Well,
Yeah, but it's a little bit awkward what you're asking Jess to do, to go in there and put one brand against another. I think that doesn't pass the smell test, in my opinion.
Well, then maybe what we should have done to begin with was ask for a bid for the brand of machine that we wanted.
That's exactly what I said, because you know what, when we get this, you get 100 different things, and he might like Case, he might like International, he might like John Deere, and what are we gonna do, take the cheapest bid, and that's all we're gonna do? That's what we're
Well,
gonna
no,
do.
you get the mowers you want.
But yet, we're asking the superintendent what he wants.
That's right.
So-
And that's a factor.
Right. And with that all being out there, the prices are so close that if there was somebody that was $5,000 less, I wouldn't care what color it was. You know, but since they're all that close, and it seems like the council has agreed with the employees, they want grasshoppers. I don't understand why we have to go any further than what we have in front of us. I don't hope I'm not being rude or disrespectful. I'm just.
No, I just think, I mean, there's a $3,200 difference here between Carrico's and Hometown, but they've quoted a John Deere machine. I mean,
not another grasshopper.
yeah, how do you compare
We're not
apples?
comparing apples
And
to
it's
apples.
and the grasshopper machine they've quoted has a smaller engine, so I would expect it to be cheaper. You know,
So then if we're going to do that, you want me to have a bid from both of them on the 335 and a bid from both of them on the 735.
There you go. That's the two models that you want, and that we and what their trade-in value is. I think that's fair enough, because they're going to give you the same two machines plus what they're going to give us for a trade-in. Should be a no-brainer.
And then he needs to find out if we go with one machine at separate places.
I guess I wouldn't even
What?
worry about
No,
it.
I wouldn't even worry about it.
Okay.
If we
Just
want
trying
the
to help.
grasshoppers. I mean, personally, I appreciate that Mr. Myers is here to explain to us what the warranties are and the different engine options and stuff. But
Exactly.
if you know he can't supply us with the front mount, so I guess you know we're limited on that. But
Well, and then another thing is I would soon have one brand of everything versus
Sure.
5 brands of everything else. I mean, that's just my own opinion, but
yeah,
no offense to buying stuff locally. I'm just saying that.
yeah, if we want to buy grasshoppers, we need to be comparing the same
Apples to apples.
mowers.
Yes. And Carrico's is one John Deere and one Grasshopper.
Right.
And
they're different size machines.
they're different size machines. So I don't think that's too much to ask.
No, we can do it.
Can somebody tell me which one's the rear and which one's the front? Is it
The 335 is the mid, and the
All right, that's
735 is the front.
Okay. Thank you.
And I guess if it would be better if we would put it in writing what we're wanting them to do, I think we've got ample notes to be able to do that, don't we? If you don't want to just try and jockey it over the phone type deal, you know.
So when you
so
send
it
them
would
a
be-
letter, or what
If
do you
we're
want to do?
just telling them a 335 and a 735, is that
And what we want,
Tap-
and
I
what
just
they're
want-
going to give for trading.
right? But you told me,
And no
or
other
said
model.
not to worry about if we buy one from one or one from the other.
No, I wouldn't.
You sure you
Yeah.
don't want to know that?
Nope.
You just want to know if they can do better on the trade-ins,
Right. If
or if there's no trade-in at all, or the number's going to stay the same.
And then both to compare the 335 and the 735.
Right. Basically, we know we want the grasshoppers, and so let's make sure we got the same
My
model
question
from
was
both
if
vendors.
one was $2,000 less, or $1,000, or maybe $500 less on the 335, and the other one was
I see
on the
what you're saying.
735. If we bought one more from one place and one from the other, is the trading going to be the same? I feel like that needs to be a question, or you're
I think
going
we're going to buy them from
We're
the
gonna
same
buy them
place.
both from the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't want Jess to be in the same situation.
Same place, package deal, 2 grasshoppers, one mid-mount, one non,
And
Mid-mount.
specify the 335 and the
and the trade-in
735.
value. And I don't even think we can give, I mean, the fact that we're gonna pay 15% to Purple whatever, whoever an auction company, if they'll take them, I just say we do a package deal, get rid of them, be done with it, we don't have to mess with it.
Yeah, the 4,600, I don't have.
Because they'll sit out there for 3 months while they're waiting on flat tires. We'll be working on them, getting them ready to go. It'll be money ahead just to let them go. All right, any other questions on mowers? Nuisance report.
I want to say something on that before Jess gets into it. You wanted Jess and I to talk about the abandoned vehicle, and we did that. And Jess had some thoughts and some concerns about it, and I told him that I would go to work on trying to get our ordinance a little more compatible with what we have to do, and I have not done that, so we don't have much to say about that, other than the fact that our ordinance is fairly handy getting through the notification phase, and of course Jess has had some good success in voluntary cleanup, I think, out of the numbers. There's still more, but when it gets to what to do with the junky vehicle, that's where it gets a little cloudy, and I think we need to work on that. We have to slide into the state statute on getting rid of an abandoned vehicle so you can get a title to it and get it sold. So that's the area that's my job, and as far as I'm concerned, Jess did his job. He's got them located, and he knows what he's doing with them. And you can add whatever you want to that, Jess. But we need to find a way to, and I think it's probably the same problem that all cities have, is what do you do with them? You get them, you know, if you can call somebody and have them come and pick them up, but some of these vehicles have titles, or they have lenders involved. So we've got to follow the notification, and that's where the rub is right now. You could go ahead and tell them about what you've done on it, Jess. I just wanted to throw that out because that ball's in my court.
No, I don't have any more to add to that. I mean, it's frustrating, especially for the people that volunteer to take care of theirs. They're the ones that are really frustrated. It's like, I clean my mess up and nothing's happening over there.
Well, they've done the right thing, and they should see that that's what's happening with others too. So we'll have some at the next meeting. Maybe it'll be spring by then. You don't have to dig them out of the mud. No.
I have nothing more to add to that.
City officials report, city attorney.
That's about all I've got to say on that subject, or any subject. I think we've got everything that's covered on the agenda. I will say, and I think probably we need to have Clay join us at the next meeting. We're not getting anywhere with the easement company, Kinder Morgan. They're locked in on their offer, and I haven't been able to budge them. But I've got some other strategies we might try, but that hasn't changed. If you wanted to talk more about that, we could go into executive session, but I think I've about told you all that I can right now until we see if we can develop some other strategies.
Anything else, Dan?
That's all I've got.
City clerk.
I have nothing to add.
City superintendent.
I have nothing to add.
Governing body.
When do they announce the grant results for the airport project? Isn't it this month?
I believe last year Clay came and told us at the April meeting, so I believe it's this month.
Okay. That's it.
Okay.
I thought I'd relate a trip that my wife and I took here recently, and went to an arts and crafts fair. And usually you have the potters and the painters, and we got down one section and they had performers, singers and musicians, and got down to one booth that had a magician who was doing sleight of hand tricks. And one of the card tricks he did was pretty intriguing to me, so of course, they're trying to drum up business places to go to perform, and so I kind of hinted that I could get him a job if he would explain to me how he did that last card trick. He kind of smirked and said, well, I could explain that trick to you, but then I'd have to kidnap you and keep you in a warehouse on the edge of town so that you can't explain it to anybody else. I said, well, if you're going to be that way about it, explain it to my wife. That story's best told when she's not here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you don't tell her that when she's around, dude. Jack.
I move we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
You all have a wonderful evening.